Let's unbox BenQ newest high refresh rate Pro Designer display PD3226G. I'm ArtIsRight. Full disclosure, I am BenQ Global Ambassador for their Pro Display line, which includes their SW hardware calibrated display for photographers and their PD, Pro Designers, and Creator display. All the opinions you're about to hear regarding the display are solely going to be my own, and BenQ did not have the opportunity to review this video before it goes live. Now, BenQ did provide me this display unit for me to do unboxing, review, long-term testing, and also tutorial and guide, which I'll be releasing on my channel. And with that out of the way, we are looking at their newest 32-inch 4K 144Hz refresh rate display that also comes with their new industrial design language, very similar to that of the PD2730S. That will be the 27-inch 5K. So we're going to be going over some of that aspect. I'll show you what comes in a box. We'll plug it in, we'll link it up to the computer, and I'll give you my first thoughts about the display with a review coming later on down the road on my channel. So let's jump right in. One thing that I've mentioned before regarding previous BenQ displays is this box. There's a lift tab that helps you to lift the box up. This one, you can just leave it inserted like that. It's okay. However, if you want to kind of pull it out, there's also that little lip they built there on the bottom. So if you push that in, you can use that as a way to pull that out, but you don't have to pull the inner carton out on this one. They have redesigned a box that makes it much easier to unbox this display. So what we're going to do is lay this display down because it opens up from the top like so, or from the side rather, and let's cut the tab. Now this display is CalMan validated or CalMan verified and Pantone validated as well, so that's a good thing. And let's get the tabs going. So the first thing that we normally get when we open up a PD or an SW display is we get the individual calibration report. You may have saw my other video that I have done an unboxing on BenQ MA line, and you might wonder how they fit in. Essentially, think of it like a pyramid. SW at the very top of the pyramid for hardcore color accuracy. PD line have really good color accuracy, have a lot of the AccuColor technology that comes in and really makes a display that much better for creative workflow that are, or for any creative that are doing work for revenue. And the MA line are just your ordinary display that's really designed to match with the Mac, but it hasn't been rigorously calibrated from the factory as much as a PD or an SW. For instance, there are no uniformity calibrations on the MA line, whereas on the PD and the SW, they have the uniformity calibration from the factory. Now with this, I am looking at the individual calibration report. I can see right now that this display, the average delta E is 0.22, which is really low. Now, for those of you that needs a quick crash course on display delta E, anything below 3 is considered good. Anything below 2 is considered imperceptible with a normal human vision, and that's considered really great color accuracy. So this is showing really good colors from the factory, and they have all these gamma curve, grayscale tracking, uniformity, and also uniformity illustration too. So they have a lot of reports here, and this is kind of a good information to have regarding Pro displays. Going further down the box, what we have are a couple things. There is a quick start guide that has instruction manuals, and this is pretty much sealed. I wish I actually done a release tab, kind of like the way how you have with Apple products, or just do this in an envelope where I don't have to really cut this open. That would be nice, but let's see what comes in this package. So what we have is a little bit brochure about Display Pilot 2, which you can install it on your system for both Mac and PC, and you can go in and pretty much link the display up to the system and use the, for example, Mac brightness control to control the brightness on the display. There's Display Color Talk and also Palette Master Ultimate, and you also get 1 year free of Pantone Connect 2, which is pretty neat. There is a quick start guide and a safety instructions. Let's see. Oh, and also some warranty support paperwork. But let's quickly go through the quick start guide. It tells you a lot of things. Pretty much I've done enough unboxing of this, so I'm going to skip this for now, but it's not a bad idea to take a look and see what content comes in a box and so forth. Beyond that, what we do have is pretty much the base for the display, and this one, they still use this kind of like foam material. I wish this was more like paper, kind of like very thin paper like Apple product. I think that would have been much better for the environment, but hey, you know, we slowly move in the right direction. There's no foam in the packaging now, or not that I can see anyway, which is considered a really good thing. We also get the Hotkey Puck Gen 3. So this is the new wireless Hotkey Puck, and as you can see right there. And let's see, does BenQ include the battery? No, so they did not include the AAA batteries with these now to run these. You can install 2 AAAs in here. I think it's a pretty good, nice accessory to have. Do you need them? Not really. You can run your display without the Hotkey Puck, and you can control everything from the display. You'll be just fine. We also have this little thing here. This is pretty much the cable organizer. And I remember seeing a comment on my previous video that, you know, we're in an age of technology now where they can't just hide the wires in the stem of the display. Like, you know, I do see that. You know, just having a hook like this, it's one thing, but it would be nice to just hide everything, right? But a man can dream, right? We can all dream. All right, these are all the cables that comes with it. I'm glad they actually make this into a box, and these are actually coil much nicer, and there's also no plastic bag. I like that. Power cord, Thunderbolt 4 cable. This is a USB Type-C to a USB Type-A one. This is an uplink cable that you would use for your display. This display also has the capability to do KVM, and it also comes with an HDMI to HDMI cable. We no longer have the DisplayPort cable. I can also double check that again in the quick start guide. Let's see if that's the case or not, but I don't think they come with DisplayPort cable anymore. Let's take a peek. Yep, and that's correct. So yeah, the information 100% with you were correct. All right, so let's peel this layer through. There's nothing else here, even though there is a lot of paper there. So on this layer, what we have here is a display, and I also like the way how they have done this product packaging, that pretty much what you can do is just split this across, and it makes it easy for you to mount the display on the stand. So there is a stand there, and we're gonna pull these kind of light foam protectors out. Again, like this would be great if this was paper material, because they already move in terms of, for example, the display itself, the glasses or the glass or any glass you use there is mercury free, BPA free. The paint is environmentally friendly paint on the box. It's just a few more steps further to just make this that much better. But what we're gonna do is pretty much just line that to the bottom like so, and just hand tight that screw at the bottom as you're seeing right now. And that's in. You can see how this is like a circle, this new industrial design. So we're just pretty much going to insert this in like so. Snap this down so that you hear the click. And once you hear the click, you can just pull the panel out just like that. It is quite heavy, so do be mindful of that when you are pulling out a box. And you know, you don't necessarily want the box on the floor or anything like that, but just be mindful of that. All right, I'm gonna put this back, and let's quickly take a look at the display itself. So on this, I mentioned that we have the new industrial design. You can see from the back there, it's pretty much just all white. There's a silver bar at the bottom, and all the connectors just pretty much go straight out from the display. Now, one mistake that I made on this particular display is I forgot to put in the cable organizer. This is where the quick start guide comes in handy. So what I'm gonna do is put the display down, take that out, and redo that portion quickly here, and then we'll continue on with the video. All right, so the cable holder just pretty much goes like so, and it just slides in with the hook out onto the back side, as you see right now. Yep, and it just snaps in just like that. It locks in place, it doesn't move, so that's a good thing. We're gonna put this back on the stand again. And before I put the display back up on the desktop stand, what I'm going to do is show you a few things. Number one, it is compatible with VESA mount. I believe is a 100 by 100 pattern, and it comes with a screw there. So you can mount this display using a VESA mount if you want to. The connectors are all in the back here. The power, HDMI, there is a DisplayPort connection, even though they did not include the DisplayPort cable anymore. USB-C, there's 3 of them, KVM1, KVM2. The primary connector you want to use with these display would be the middle one. This will be where you would connect it to your Mac. If you link it to the 2 USB or the 2 Thunderbolt ports on the side or USB port, it's not going to work that way. So you want to use the middle one for the primary connector. Once you do that, you're pretty much good to go. On the very bottom of the display, there are a few things. So what we do have is a remote sensor. This is where it would communicate with the Hotkey Puck. We have the power button, there's a joystick, there's another button there. And you also got a few connections on the bottom of the display, USB-C, 3 USB Type-A, and also a headphone out jack. Interestingly enough, this display also have 2 speakers that are rated at, I believe, 2 or 3 watts. Let me just double check the spec on that quickly. They're rated at 3 watts. So there's 2 speakers. I wouldn't, you know, use this as a speaker for anything at all. I mean, they sound okay. They're not really like good sounding, but it does have that capability. It also has a DAC built in, so if you plug in headphone jack, you can output this to another speaker using a 3.5mm headphone jack. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is slide this in and link this up. Now the cool thing, the reason why they made that design a circle is for a couple reasons. Number one, I can just use the display horizontal this way, but I can also rotate this. Interestingly enough, this does not rotate the other direction, whereas the MA line, you can pretty much rotate both counter and clockwise and counterclockwise. Interesting. This can only do one way, which is pretty much just a clockwise rotation. What we get on the display is pretty much a clean design, bezel less on all three sides. There's a little BenQ embossing there and BenQ pretty much name at the base. And I believe on the back, yeah, there's a BenQ back and name on the back of the display. There is a little note on the top here. As you can see, it is in yellow and it says, do not tear. So pretty much what they want you to do is you can take this tab out as I'm about to do now, but below that, this is the coating on the display. And sometimes if you take a look really close to the edge, it looks like a film, it looks like a protector thing. Don't pull that out. You will damage the panel. Pretty much the panel comes as is like this. You don't need to pull anything out anymore beyond just that white plastic foam back that I have pulled out earlier. On the top, you get AccuColor and the display model number. I think this is a pretty slick display. We also get the nanomatic coating on this display too, as you can see right there. This is pretty much diffusing the light so much in my studio that you can see. And what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna link this up to my laptop. So give me just a moment. We'll plug everything in and we'll see how this is gonna work. And I'll give you my impressions of this display. All right, so the new display's plugin is ready to go. I have this link up to my 16-inch MacBook Pro using the Thunderbolt connector. And with this, it's supposed to supply 90 watts of power to my laptop. We're gonna turn the display on now. You hear that sound, that means it's linking up, it's providing power right now, it's showing the laptop is charging. And it already recognized Thunderbolt 4 input. So this is pretty much what I have. Now I can go through the display menu. I already put in 2 of my own AAA batteries, and you're gonna have to do the same too, but I can use the Hotkey Puck to navigate the menu. Now, when it comes to the menu for this display, it's just pretty much as simple as that. What you're seeing right now, you have this menu, which is like the hamburger menu or the 3-bar menu that takes you into the full context menu. You can go and change different settings. So for instance, I can go into the second one and change into color mode. Right now, I'm running on display P3, and when I'm running in this color mode, the moment that I'm comparing this to my MacBook Pro, it looks kind of close, but it's not really quite close enough. Like there's also the texture difference on the display too. I'm using a glossy display to kind of just demo these two right now. So you can see kind of like side by side. And what I'm gonna do is let's do this. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It matches fairly closely in P3 color mode. Let's see what happens if I put this into MBook color mode, which is what BenQ is known for. And what we're gonna do is see how the color is going to match up. So with that color mode, let's go into MBook. Genuinely speaking, I feel that for the PD series display, we're probably going to have a much more success in terms of like color matching to a MacBook display when you set it to display P3 rather than to MBook mode, interestingly enough. But on the MA series, the MBook mode is actually matching closer. A lot of very interesting things happening there. But yeah, so this is the display. And like I said, it has all those connectors. It's providing 90 watts of power to my laptop. It's also carrying the I/O signal. A couple other things to note about this, like I said, it's a 4K panel, so 3840 by 2160 panels, 16:9 aspect ratio. The pixel pitch is 140 pixels per inch. Now, if you're looking for something that is a higher pixel pitch, you need to look at something at 6K. But then again, when we go into that higher resolution, we don't necessarily have the panel that can really do the high refresh rate like 144 Hertz, for example, like this one. So you're kind of like playing those games a little bit. And even though we are now at the point where the technology like Thunderbolt 5 and so forth can support these higher refresh display and higher resolution display, it's also the manufacturers that's doing them, the technology standard that even though it is capable, doesn't mean it's really quite there yet to do all those things. But I understand maybe you realize those things. I just want to share those information with you. Now with this, I want to just quickly check a few other things, and that would be the system setting. And let's see what refresh rate are we able to get on this display. I mean, the nice thing about having 144 Hz refresh rate is that things are a little bit smoother. I mean, I've been using 60 Hz refresh rate display that are like really great color for a long time. So to me, I can understand why somebody will want a smoother display or a smoother moving image display, but I don't think it's an all be all for me. But if you're looking for something that you can also use for creative work and also maybe gaming on the side and so forth, I think this would be a great option for that. So what I'm going to do now is click on the PD3226G, and yes, I am able to get a refresh rate of 144 Hertz. That's a good thing. I can also do high dynamic range, even though the max peak brightness of the display is only 400 nits. And one thing that I do want to share with you too is because BenQ did go in and do the uniformity calibration from the factory in all the color modes. When you are using those color modes, sometimes the max brightness is not going to reach that 400, just something to keep in mind there. So under normal circumstances, I'm going to show you quickly the menu right now in the color mode. For example, I'm on P3. If I go down to advanced, there is a uniformity menu that's grayed out. Now, for you to turn off uniformity, what you can do is go into the color mode. Go into the color mode. And what you can do is set this to user 1 or user 2 color mode. And when you do that, you can go to advanced mode on the menu, and then under uniformity, you can choose to turn that on or off. But if you're running on the standard mode, uniformity will have to be on, and that does reduce the overall brightness by a little bit on the max peak brightness of the display. Just a little FYI there. Like I said before, the contrast ratio is 1200 to 1, so it's not quite a 2000 to 1, the IPS black or the comparable IPS black panel, but it's one of those things where I feel, and I say this on a lot of my comments on the video, that anytime you work with a display, it's like a Star Trek USS Kobayashi Maru scenario, meaning that there's no win-all scenario. There's no perfect display out there. It's always, you have one thing, but you don't have the other. You have, for example, 6K, good color, but you don't have high refresh rate. One day, hopefully, we'll be able to have it all, but as of where we are right now, and I have been doing this for about like a decade now, specifically display reviews and color management and everything. I haven't seen anything like that yet that really hits all the mark in that regard. So I wish we could have that. What would have been better for this display is that if we would have a 6K and a high refresh rate, maybe 120, like I would settle for that without 144, but this is what we got. And I still think this is a pretty good compelling option if you want something with a high refresh rate display. As I mentioned before, if you have DisplayPilot, you can download that to the computer. And DisplayPilot 2, we're going to skip the update for now. Apparently, I do have to update in order for it to be compatible with this model. So, be back after an intermission. So while I'm updating DisplayPilot 2, there are a few more specs that I do like to share with you. This display is CalMan verified, Pantone, and Pantone skin tone validated, which is a stricter validation that Pantone have for color accuracy. It passes all those. And in terms of the color gamut, it can show 100% sRGB, 100% Rec 709, and 95% P3 color gamut coverage. Now, there's no mention of Adobe RGB, and I don't think there is an unofficial Adobe RGB color mode that is supported on this display, so just a little FYI for that one. Now, let's quickly take a look at DisplayPilot. So this is DisplayPilot. Right now, it recognizes the display. I can do the audio out to this. I can also use the software to change the brightness of the display. So there's a lot more of that interoperability, and the way how they communicate is actually really neat. Let's see if I do the brightness key on my laptop. Will that change the display also? Yep. So it actually is taking over. It's not changing the laptop display, but it's also changing just the external BenQ display, which is really nice. I like that integration. There's an ICC sync. You can do dual view from here. You can do desktop partition. This would be very similar to what's already built into Sequoia now, so you don't really need that. And a couple other things. You can do auto pivot if you have that on. The moment I rotate this, actually, let's do this. Auto pivot, let's turn that on first. So I turn it on. So the moment I do this, now something to note is that if you want to turn this display, you have to bring it out a little bit and angle it. And let's see if it, yep, it does rotate it vertical for me. I'll angle it out a little bit. Otherwise, if you don't angle it out, the bottom would end up hitting the edge of the display there. Now this can go pretty much up, down. It can angle like so. It can go left to right. Has a pretty good angle view. It's an IPS panel still. So all the really good stuff that we are used to before with this. You can choose, there's a print assistant mode, which show you like the different paper size. You can do picture in picture, picture by picture, change the input, and a lot of other things, which we'll probably go over in the full review. So this is the overview of BenQ PD3226G display. High refresh rate, 32-inch 4K. I think this will be a great display if you're looking to do creative work and also game on the side just for relaxation and so forth, and you're looking for a high refresh rate with good color accuracy. This would be the display to go for. So that is kind of where it is. If you have any questions about this display, something that you want to know, do leave them in the comments. I will respond as we go along, and I'll actually aggregate those comment up and answer many of those in my full review of this display that's coming later on too. Give this a like, subscribe, hit the bell if you're new. I'm Art, and I thank you for your time.